Hi everyone, I'm Simon from Sterling Coaching and welcome to this week's Monday's Moment, which I have a little bit of a secret to tell you. As yesterday, Monday, was a public holiday, this is actually being recorded and put out there on Tuesday, so sorry about that little secret there. But what I wanted to do today was to share with you something I learnt in a Christmas film that I watched just yesterday. And that was the old classic film, It's a Wonderful Life. And the question I want to ask you today is, what would the life of those around you be like if you had never been born? See you in a moment. Some of you may have watched It's a Wonderful Life, some of you may not. If you haven't, then it's one of the all-time great Christmas movies and is still as relevant today to each of us as it was when it was filmed back then. And it was the whole essence of the film that inspired me to change the theme of today's Monday's Moment video. And what I tend to do myself between Christmas and New Year as I record this, each year I take time to reflect, and I've mentioned that in past videos, forward focus reflection. But the film yesterday gave me a different way of looking at reflection. And in the film, the character George Bailey is at the lowest ebb. He's at the very bottom of the pit and reaching up to touch the bottom. He's that low. And an angel comes down in the film and shows him what his life would be like if he hadn't been born. And what I mean by his life, the life of those around him. And I want to ask you to do that in this time of reflection. As you watch this Monday's Moment video, I want you to think about a few things. I want you to think about, by looking back at the way that you have treated people, the way that you have had an impact on people, and the way that both positive and negative that you have affected their lives. And the first thing I want you to think about, who have you discouraged or held back? Think about that. What would their lives be like now if you hadn't have done that? The discouragement, the holding back might have been good for them. It might have been the thing that they needed. But it might have also been the thing that stopped them from achieving what they wanted to achieve. So think about those people that you've discouraged or held back in the past. I want you to think about those people who you know you've had a positive impact on. I've worked with many clients and I've coached and mentored people in my previous businesses and in schools and other things. So I know there are people, when I look back and I think about those people that I've had a positive impact on. If I hadn't have had that impact, what kind of person would they be now? What would they be doing now that they perhaps have a better potential because of the impact that you had on them? And if you weren't born, that impact wouldn't be there and they're not going to achieve their full potential. So think about those people that you know you've had an impact on. Then think about those people that you hope you had an impact on. You hope that you had an effect on their success. You don't know for sure. Perhaps they've moved out the area. Perhaps you saw them when they were young. I've done that with quite a few apprentices, and they leave you and you hope that you've had an impact on them. But then you probably never see them again. They move out the area, they move on to better things. So who do you hope that you've had an impact on? And think about those people. Perhaps you did it unconditionally. Perhaps you did it on purpose. That you had a positive impact on their lives. What would they be like if you hadn't have done that? Okay. What would the environment around them be like? Perhaps they might not have had the family that they've got now. Perhaps they might not have had the career that they've got now. Perhaps they might not even own their own business. And then I want you to think about those people and take time to reflect on those random acts of kindness, those random acts that you've had that you have no idea who those acts touched. You have no idea on what the consequences of those acts of kindness are. And I want you to think about, what would those people's lives be like if you hadn't have done that? Okay, and this is a really strange one to think about, because you have no idea who you touched, and you have no idea of how that impact has come through. But I want you to think about those things. What would the lives of those people, what would your family, your friends, the businesses that you've worked with, the people in your business perhaps, people that are located near you, your village, your groups, your social groups, what kind of environment, what kind of lives would they all have if you had never been born and had an impact? And I always remember a friend of mine said that the measure of success is by the impact you have on other people's lives. That was so profound when he told me that many years ago. A guy called Bill McNichol, a well-loved surgeon and a fantastic guy, both in work and outside of that. But what kind of impact have you had? And what I want you to think about as you reflect on this, think about what you need to do more of. Think about ways that perhaps you might have had a negative impact on people's lives. But I want you to reflect. I want you to feel good in this week of reflection, before we get to the new year, when we start to make our plans, before we start thinking forward. Take some time to think about the impact you've had on people's lives, and how much better your life is because of that, but how much better all those other people's lives are that are out there. A coach that I work with, Harlan, has created some stories, and he's talked about a young lad's life that he saved. Just like in the film It's a Wonderful Life, he saved a young boy from drowning. What impact has that had on that person's life, his family that he now has perhaps? So think deep, think about that, and think about how you can carry that forward into the year ahead, and turn what has been a pretty interesting year, shall we say, of 2020 in the COVID crisis. You know, businesses might have done well, but we've all had things that we've had to cope with. We've all had change, we've all had disruption. But throughout all of this, even through the last year, you will have had an impact on people's lives. And I want you to think about how you carry that impact, how you carry that positive, wonderful life, not just for yourself, but all those people that you touch and have an impact on around you. How you carry that forward into 2021. Whether you're a coach, whether you're a business owner, whether you're somebody who is a manager, a leader in business, whether you're somebody who perhaps is in a position where you don't feel you can have an impact. Let me be assured, and let me assure you that you certainly can. Have a wonderful life. I hope this Monday's moment has given you something to reflect on, and I really hope to see you on some of my future events coming in the new year, the details of which you'll see in future Monday's moments. But all that remains on this Monday's moment is to wish you a wonderful life, plan for 2021 in the week ahead, and because I won't speak to you all before the new year, happy new year and a prosperous new year to each and every one of you that is watching this Monday's Moment video, which I hope has had an impact on your life. Bye for now.